I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Codenames. It's ages 10 and up, and it says it's 2 to 8 players, but we recommend getting Codenames Duet if you want to play a 2-player version of this game. This is ideal for 4 to 8 players, and it takes just 15 minutes to play. Let me show you how it works. The goal of the game is to divide into teams and work together to correctly give clues and guess the cards that correspond to the colors of your team before your opponents do the same and without accidentally guessing the assassin word, which is represented by the black spot on this grid. To begin the game, from all of these word cards, you deal out a 5x5 grid, just like this. And then you form teams, and one person sits on, if you're playing a 4-player game, one person sits on this side of the table, and then another person sits on this side of the table if they're a blue team. Same thing for red, one person's over here guessing, and this side is the side giving the clues. So people from opposing teams are sitting by each other. And then at this point, you randomly select one of these grid cards that you don't rotate it, just grab one and put it in this holder where the people sitting on this side can see it, but the people on the other side cannot. And this will be your grid for the game. And what you are doing is this represents secret agents you have out in the field. And these are their code names out here. The red spots correspond to Red's team, the words that you need to guess. And the blue spots correspond with Blue's team. Black is the assassin. If you guess that one, which in this game is this card right here, then you lose instantly. And these light brown ones are innocent bystanders. And we'll explain what each spot, when you guess it, what that does for the course of the game. So this card is called the key. And the color around the outside of the key is very important. It determines who goes first, and they get this double agent card, which has a different color on either side because it is an advantage to go first. So red needs to guess 9 agents' secret names or words out here, and blue only needs to guess 8. I'm going to leave this key like this for the rest of the instruction, even though in a game you would not be able to see it unless you were the person giving the clue. So how this game works, red is first, and the spy master who's giving the clues for their team will say one word and one number, and that's it. So you take a little while to familiarize yourself with all of the words out here, and this person, red, might say gods 2, and then their teammate gets to look out here, and it doesn't matter what they say, it's when they eventually point to one like Olympus that the spy master gets to place the correct tile on there. So that is a red tile, they guessed correctly, and then they get to continue their turn. And then if they say temple, then they've guessed their 2 items, and for this, their turn is over. Later in the game, you can get an additional guess on your turn, and I'll show you how that works too. If it was not a very good clue, and they had no idea what they were talking about, and so they said, they pointed at heart, that is an innocent bystander. So this gets placed here, and the turn is over for Team Red. And this stays out here. If they went ahead and they just really went off in a different direction from what they thought for the clue, and they guessed mug, that is blue spot, and so a blue agent would cover that spot instead, and red's turn is over, and they've helped blue, which is a bummer. And finally, if they guessed ring, if at any point during the game you guessed ring, that's the secret word for the assassin's time, then whoever guessed that lost the game. It doesn't matter if blue didn't have anything out here and red had been doing really well up to that point and had a bunch of things, covered and blue had like 1. If red guesses the assassin word, they lose instantly. On your turn, you must always make at least 1 guess. You may stop guessing at any time, but it is a race to guess the correct word, so in general, you want to go for it and accept a bit of a risk. So here we are, a couple turns in. It's Red's turn again, and we'll say that Red gave the clue science 2, and their teammate pointed at microscope right away, and they got that, but then they weren't really sure. Most of the clues, if you're playing this game, well, they're a stretch, especially if you're getting up to 3 or 4 or even 5 words. It can be really tricky to combine what seem to be very unrelated words into one word and then the number for how many you have together. So they might get this one right, and then they might say engine, and Red's turn is over. And what happens then is it is important for your teammate to remember the clues you've given, especially if it was one they only got like one of the 2 words. Because if blue gets their turn and they get one of their clues right, and then it comes back to your turn, if they give you another clue, like even something like businessman 1, and you say, okay, the businessman wears a suit, done, got that, you get to guess the number that your spy master gives you +1. So you can go back to that science clue and look around and say, I mean, maybe they thought a straw, and if you guess that and you're right, then they would cover that. So that is a key part of this game. You can guess the number you have been given +1. So here's what the end of a game might look like. It is Red's turn, and this spy master might feel really proud of themselves and have a good clue for their last 2 remaining spots. And they might say Gandalf 2 because he holds a staff and yells, "Ye shall not pass." And so he can't explain any of that. He just says Gandalf 2. And his partner might go ahead and point at staff, but they might also point at ring because of Lord of the Rings. And so if they do that, the assassin gets played here and Red would lose instantly. But if that didn't happen and instead they went ahead and pointed to the pass word, and this Red's out of their cards here and blue still has some left, so Red would win. So that's how to play Codenames. It is one of our all-time favorite party games, so check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.